Oh, the hearts are so
So
good.
it wasn't recorded, so.
I heard a moose heart very good too.
I've had a moose heart.
Yeah, it's like a football.
I had a friend from Florida come up and somebody gave me a moose heart and I said, oh, I got a nice breakfast for you. She called all her friends in Florida and said, guess what I'm eating? I think she still talks about that. He's also in the path of the hurricane bad.
Hi, Lenny.
Hello. Yeah. You see the people streaming out of Tampa last night?
It's crazy.
So my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live in Venice, just outside of Venice, which
Oh,
is,
God, yeah.
which
Yeah,
is.
that's right in there.
Oh, yeah, it's right in there.
Is that
It's just below-
that's south of Tampa?
South of Tampa, it's just south of Sarasota.
Oh, yeah, Sarasota
And-
might get it dead on.
Yeah, that looks like in the most recent National Hurricane Center projection, it looks like they may get it like right
Dead
on.
on.
Yeah.
My sister.
They've left. They're, in fact, they are in South Carolina right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, my sister and her family drove to Georgia yesterday. What should have taken them 5 hours took them 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have a
I'm not-
6-year-old in the
I'm
car.
not-
Somebody said that to set your GPS to off-road,
What
I
are we
mean,
looking
back
at?
roads.
That's my condominium in Florida,
Where is it?
so I'm not real worried about it.
You
Nothing
got
there?
cameras everywhere.
It's it got ripped out by Hurricane Ian 2 years ago.
Right.
And we haven't started, we're starting to rebuild the.
Oh, they haven't rebuilt yet?
Yeah.
Chris, I thought you had sold that, or do you still own it?
Oh, no, we still own it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's just a
What town is
shell of
it?
its former self, Sanibel.
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 All right, should we get down to business?
Yes, I'll make sure we're recording here.
He has a camera on that too.
Yeah, I know. All right,
Don't see the same recording,
launch meeting,
launch meeting.
have you done that?
Yeah.
I think it said, I think we heard it say
Yeah, launch
that it was
meeting.
recorded, that it was recorded.
I didn't hear it. Did it say that? I heard it say that.
There should be,
Oh,
can I
okay,
go up to the top? Up of the, up there, start pressing those things.
Recording.
All right.
It looks like it's going.
Okay. Welcome here. We'll start off with our roll call. Myself, Pat Donahue, Lenny Wright, Chris Bradley, Paul Feinberg, Kimberly Dallas, Tanya Athanas, Janet Townsend, Bert Langett from the DLA, and Dylan Tuzinski, is that right?
Tuzinski.
Reporter for the Morning Sentinel. Thank you for coming. And the first thing is the consideration of the September 24, 2004 minutes. Paul, thank you for doing that as always. And Lenny has made a few edits in it.
I'll make those changes.
Does anybody have any other edits they want to make? I think it looks fine to me with those edits.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the edits was a question.
Yeah,
You had said, what is interconnection of Great Pond and the watershed? I think we were talking in context, we were talking about it's connected, you got water coming from East Pond to North Pond, you know, and on through and we talked about that and decided not to include that in the documents.
Okay. Very good.
And page 37 of what that would be of the
Shoreline zoning limits.
shoreline zoning ordinance.
Okay, sure. Okay. Well, but it's just important that be mentioned in the minutes, not just mentioned in this meeting. Or if you want to put that in these minutes, I suppose, but it'd be better if it were in the original minutes. So that someone reading those minutes presumably would be clear.
So Paul, will you make the changes and then redistribute?
Sure.
Just so, and especially to the town, so we so they have it.
I think I have it corrected. Do I have a motion to approve the minute?
So move.
Second,
with the corrections.
with the
Seconded
corrections,
with corrections?
Paul will make them. Do I have a second?
Oh, I
Second.
Yep.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, Chris.
So I think we left off on what was change number 6, and we eliminated that, and then we got to the what is now the new document, change number 6, which is required that all properties have a 10-foot no-mow buffer along the shoreline between any structures and the lake. When an existing property is required by the town to establish a buffer, that requirement will be recorded in the property deed. So then there was debate or question Paul had about 10-foot, 30-foot. What do we want to do? So I guess
That's 6 or 7.
6.
Say,
Okay,
yeah, it's the new 6.
okay.
So what do we what comments do we have on this?
What was the question?
Well,
You want it to be bigger?
yeah, I mean, I think we all want it to be bigger, but
Right.
I think that in previous discussions, we talked about, should we shoot for something, you know, should we shoot for 30 and get 10, you know, should we, but I guess I'm feeling good about this as being a minimum thing. If we we could actually do that, get that accomplished, then I think that would be a great step in the right direction.
What is getting it? There's 2 issues here, isn't there? What are we talking about? Is it the 10-foot no mow, or is it the 30%?
We're taking out the 30%.
There is no percentage or anything,
And how did that happen? That's what I don't know. How did it go from, I thought we're all sailing along in the 30%.
you went fly fishing.
I did go fly fishing.
And
I did listen.
we
to-
made an executive decision, so
Okay, all right,
there you go.
okay.
So
Yeah, but wait a second, I was here and I don't even remember that, so.
We decided
I'm gonna-
10 feet was
10 feet.
better than 30%.
But why isn't it, I thought it was 10 feet or 30%.
I thought we eliminated the percentage to make it easier.
easier to.
And easier to
simpler
understand.
Understand.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, a no mow zone is different than
A buffer.
a buffer. It's 2 different things.
well,
And if I have a lawn that goes down to the bottom of the lake,
right,
and it's a different
Well,
optic impact.
it isn't, but in the end, and this is why I wanted to explain what a no mow isn't that. So if you do a no mow, within 5 years, you're gonna have trees, you're gonna have bushes coming up, and you're gonna have a ground cover all coming up. And what you can do is self-select what you want to grow and trim back.
well, you wouldn't be able to because you
Oh my
can't.
God,
Well-
sorry,
Or-
I have a grandson.
Wow.
Wow, while you were here. No wonder you were so
I'm gonna
nervous.
go. Oh, no, I'm gonna stay. Oh, my God.
No wonder
sorry,
you were
where
so
was I?
antsy. Oh,
Congratulations, wow.
So you can leave at 5 o'clock and go see your grand.
Yeah, okay,
Where is he?
Boston,
Boston. He just landed.
No pictures?
yeah, picture, yes.
So Paul, the concept is that if you don't mow it and then it will grow up, maybe we need to.
I understand that, what I'm saying is, from the optics of presenting it to anybody, to the planning board, a no mow zone sounds much more adverse than a buffer.
I don't know.
And maybe the
Sounds
same.
more adverse than a buffer, explain. what
Because
do
I
you-
have a lawn, if I'm a big shot, and I guess we know it's on the lake, they should drive around the lake. And they say, yeah, it's now gonna be a no mow zone, you can't mow my lawn that exists. It's different than saying that
You have a lawn?
I don't have a lawn.
No, he's,
All right, let's
so
focus,
you
folks.
can mow down to 10 feet. and then you have to stop mowing.
Let it.
And
do its thing.
then
I understand.
it grows up, and then you can trim anything that's under 1 inch at 4 feet, or what's the?
Well, there's no,
3
the
feet?
idea is you sort of can design what you want your buffer to look like, so you could trim where you want your view. But you still, you're not there, if you look at section O or whatever it is in the zone, shoreland zoning, it talks about what a buffer should look like when it's mature. And
Right.
see, my concern is that people won't have any idea of what we're talking about, number one. They don't understand, okay, I can't mow, but what do I do?
So how can we present it simply in this document?
Well, so I wrote and sent it to you, what a minimum buffer is, where there's no established
We
buffer.
can't do that, we can't.
It's a 1 and a 2. What's so impossible about that?
I haven't seen it.
I'll have to go back and look at it.
Here,
It just seemed,
I sent it to you, and I thought that's what we're going over today. This is,
you have that document, that had so much in it, yes, I have it right here. So it,
We don't want to mix the cake so much that we don't, nothing arises. I mean, we can have something in it. I mean, this is important.
Yeah, it is infeasible.
If I remember, and I did read it, I haven't seen it for a few weeks, but if I
Right.
recall, it was pretty lengthy and I don't think it really belongs in the ordinance. I agree, it's really important information, but I think because
If
of
it
the
doesn't,
length of it,
yeah, okay, I can see your
That's-
point too.
that's what I recall. And again, it's been 3 weeks since I've seen it.
Okay, now when we say require all property owners to have a 10-foot, what's gonna make them do that?
That's a trigger issue.
Okay, it's gonna,
We're
it
gonna
is,
come up with
it is a trigger.
We gotta come up with
If
a
they get a
trigger.
permit for this, that, or the other thing.
it's in the
variance,
comments underneath there.
Okay.
It describes,
Crap for.
how there's,
I'll just
Get
read
that
this.
done.
This is it's 2
Oh,
sentences.
yeah, I see it now, I'm sorry. I
A
shouldn't
no
have
mow
said that.
area across the shoreline, the depth of the first 10 feet or 30% of the developed area of the property, whichever is smaller. Pruning as it grows allows choice and position of natives to maintain. So it's 2 sentences that sort of describe how to do a no mow. Below that is a mature buffer, which is a different story.
right, and I mean, you lost me at the second, point number 2, that I was just like, okay, this is just, and plus, you get all this stuff, and it's just like, I can't put this in here, so, but I can put, if we want to, we can
Well, the
do
other
the,
stuff is different changes, so don't look at that, just look at this change. And
So we can
defining what the minimum
change it
buffer is.
to, say, I can
Where is that?
modify
Is
it
the
to
language here?
include the language.
Which language?
It's 1.
Just wanna use one.
She wants to add that.
And so then we're back into percentages, do we feel comfortable? So it says,
Take the percentages
a
out.
no mow
I like the
area
percentage.
across the shoreline, the depth of the first
Makes it
10 feet.
complicated though.
Hang on, Tanya, the depth of the first 10 feet or 30% of the developed area of the property, whichever is small.
Period.
So,
Right, forget this,
This is,
So-
just that top.
this is language here.
Right,
That's not too difficult to understand.
yep,
Do you want to take a go at having in another?
I can modify it to, the first sentence to have that,
Did we talk about why is it whatever is smaller rather than whatever is greater?
that's been going back and forth,
Yeah.
back and forth, back and
Oh,
forth.
okay, we have to decide that.
Yes,
Well, should we have a brief conversation about it and like vote on it or something? What's the best way to handle it, Pat, from
I
a?
would say there's the call would be between 10 feet and 30%.
Right, well, and the reason for that, and we've been through this, the reason for that is there are certain properties that are less than 30 feet from the lake.
All right.
So, if you say 10 feet and they're only 12 feet from the lake, then that's, most of their distance, like, so we're saying 30%, which in that case, if they're only 12 feet from the lake, then their buffer that's required is only 4 feet, it's 30. It's, 30%.
Instead of.
That's why it should be smaller.
now that I've heard that for the 10th time.
So that's
Yeah.
why Lenny, it should be smaller.
That's why it should be
Yeah, that's
smaller.
why it should be smaller.
Okay.
Right, because if they're if they're real close to the lake, you can't have them do 10 feet. If they were only 10 feet from the lake and you say you have to have a 10-foot buffer, then would be entirely, buffer between.
And I just want to say that I cruised around the lake purposely looking at this, and it's unbelievable how many properties are so close to the lake.
It is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
well, these are the old properties
Yeah,
that
the
were
more,
grandfathered.
it's the norm rather than the exception.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
And how many
grass.
properties have lawns down to the lake? Also, 51% on Messalonsky.
Yeah, I don't think that the fact that they're really close to the lake is the damage to the lake as much as a lawn or developed area, because like my family's place is the corner of one building is very close, or several buildings, but they're just built on, rocks or pilings, so there isn't any disturbed earth, there isn't any lawn or anything like that. It's not much different than it was originally. The
But
lake
that's
is-
not true.
But that's
If you
not
go
always
around, most
true.
people.
No,
I have a house that has a small foundation and I'm very close to the lake.
Right.
But I've built in a huge buffer. So it depends, and it
Yeah.
depends on the slope of the land. There's so many things that need to be considered. Okay, so do we know what we're saying now?
Yeah, so I'm gonna replace the first sentence with basically, point number one.
Great.
And then we get into when an existing property is required by the town to establish a buffer, that requirement will be recorded in the property's deed.
Great.
So, and then, so we pretty much explain that, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
So this is gonna be, just for clarity, this is gonna be 10 feet or 30%, whichever is less.
10 feet or 30%, whichever is smaller.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then, change number 7 in the new document is, no tree cutting with 100 feet within 100 feet of a water body without tree removal permit. So this is just to formalize, and we say that this change formalizes the current process being managed by our CEO who just entered the room.
Question for you. I think now, we're currently allowed to cut, if it's at eye level, 3 inches in diameter or 4 inches in diameter without a permit. Would that be changing that current or part of the ordinance?
You caught me at a bad moment.
Sorry.
Sorry, because,
No, it actually
I
does
just
say
said what section, but there's nothing under, you're not supposed to cut anything under 3 feet tall. So
Right. Right.
you kind of got in that regulation conflicting.
Yeah, that's the
parameters.
problem.
Would that mean if you had a 5-foot tree or brush, you could take 2 feet down to 3 feet, or you?
Unless it is bigger than what's the diameter?
3 or 4 inches, I think.
I mean, so you can't take an oak tree
You can't.
down to 3
No.
feet.
You can have a bunch of stumps,
Yeah, but I mean, more like no brush growing up, or
Yeah, it specifies the diameter.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
There he is. Looking out.
Oh,
Here we
it's
go. It's
here, too.
consistent to-
You got a name?
Not yet.
Where?
Not a social security
Paul.
number either.
It looks
Paul.
little.
Bert.
Yeah, well,
You can say hi.
So do we have
It's 4 inches or more in diameter.
so if it's less than 4 inches, you can cut it down to 3 feet.
Is that correct, Hans?
that's what it reads.
It's a test. You just walked into a test.
I said you can cut it down you can cut the top off and leave the rest. I'm not sure.
Well, the rule says no cutting anything less than 3 feet, so theoretically.
Yes.
Some people prune them down to 3 feet,
Oh, okay, and then you can just keep it there.
yeah.
Then hope that it dies or what?
No, practical matter, no, this doesn't happen.
No, it's a little odd, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that our proposed change,
The spirit of the ordinance by the state was that people can maintain a view, you know, they can limb a tree.
Yep.
The bottom third, so there's no limbs there, and you can keep your shrubbery down to 3 feet.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Which I think is a good thing. I mean, you got that vegetative buffer, if it's, I mean, that has a lot of roots and a lot of, value of, absorbing phosphorus. So,
feeling good about 7 for this?
so I think we're good about 7, 8.
Good.
It wasn't them.
Oh,
Removal of organic dust, leaf raking and smoothing of the natural pit and mound topography prohibited within 100 feet of the water body on properties where the dust has been removed or the pits and mounds have been smoothed. A layer of erosion control mix must be put down over the affected area. In no circumstances would a grass lawn be allowed to be established where one did not exist.
Isn't this law already?
Yes, it is.
We don't need this.
What section is it?
Hold on, I have it.
The planning board just adopted this as a condition, right?
Yes, it's a condition of approval on certain permits.
So I don't think we look foolish going back for this.
Yeah,
Well, let's just make sure though.
hold on, clearing, page 45. There should be no cleared, no, that's in there.
No.
So I mean, this came from Dave Roque. He was adamant that removing organic dust, raking leaves and smoothing out the land
Right.
was,
So so 45, number 1, within a shoreline area zoned for resource protection,
yeah, that's not. That's
which
not-
is separate, right? So
Correct.
that's one of the things as you go through this, that's what's so confusing about this, is it's for specific designated areas. That they say things that should be for a more generalized purpose, I feel. So we leave it?
mhm.
So what were you saying, Paul, that we would look foolish?
Yeah, I think if it's in the ordinance and they've
But
already
it's-
made it a condition of their permits.
But it's only for what is for area zoned for resource protection. Abutting a great pond. Does that include all lakefront area? Is that
I don't believe so. No.
a resource protection?
Well, they consider the chapter 1000 for resource protection. So that's one of those. Sometimes they'll say a resource protected area, meaning it's designated instead of limited residential, it's resource protection. So that's one of the confusing portions of the ordinances. What are they really trying to say?
So maybe we should point out that that's confusing and
The ordinance is shoreline zone, so we could assume it's all shoreline zone. But the resource protected area, when they mention it, is special.
What section you
page 45 in the zoning ordinance.
Right.
And it's under. It's at the top of the page, oh,
Top of my page says code enforcement
Yeah,
officer.
I have a different,
Yeah,
It's a different document, but-
There's more than one
oh,
version.
really?
yeah, I got another document here.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's more-
oh,
It's section O.
yeah.
I've got the
Yes.
same idea.
It is O.
Are you talking about 01 where within a
So
shoreline?
that's page
Yeah.
38.
I mean, that's a shoreline zone area for resource
38,
protection.
yeah,
So that's a
for me it's
resource,
45.
that's a special area.
Exemption there.
What is that? What is a special ordinance?
The resource protected area,
Yeah, what is
that
that?
would be like. Foster Point, we have a slope resource protected area or wetland areas that have intermittent wetlands.
So this is saying. Within a shoreline area zoned for resource protection abutting a great pond, so that's like, to me, it should be every waterfront property.
Yeah.
Should be covered,
So it
Not-
should be,
and unless the resource protection includes that. which it doesn't sound like it does, we need to have this in there. And I think what we should do is make a note to them, because they're gonna say it's already in there. But we need to make a note to them to say that, no, it's only in there for resource protection, and it needs to be in there for the entire shoreline
Yeah,
zone.
'cause actually all it is, there's that 100-foot setback where you're not supposed to cut.
Where is that? See, oh, so it's in another section, you're saying, as well as here. That's the problem with this.
Where is that? Cause we just said,
Well, in section 15, I think it's 5, going back to V5, talks about the 100-foot setback. So through that area, you're allowed your 6-foot path, meandering path.
the principal accessory structures.
Okay, well, and it's very close to that section where it talks about the 100-foot setback.
Well, maybe we should just not take up our meeting time and let me go through this with you.
Grab a copy.
Yeah, why
Why don't we do some research and come back with how to craft this?
Because this committee was formed because of a property that put in a lawn. That's why we're here.
What? Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. No, there was a property in Great Pond where somebody
Well,
142.
it's 142 Woodland Camp Road. And there was a petition, it went to the select board formed this committee because of that lawn that was put in, that was mentioned. And so this is change number 8 is a reflection of that, and it incorporates Dave Rope's recommendations for removing organic duff, leaf breaking,
no,
smoothing.
there's no doubt about it.
All that sort of thing, and it becomes explicit. And, and the last, under comments, the last sentence is, this change to the ordinance will clarify that these practices are explicitly prohibited. So I think there's been some ambiguity that allowed,
There's
Yes.
So we gotta
Is that
tighten this
bigger?
up.
142 Woodland Camp Road to exist the way it is.
No,
And
I
so
agree.
that's why this is in, and, but I think we should go back and read the ordinance again and try to figure out if this is already in the ordinance. And that we're,
Right.
but it is explicit, so I'm trying to make it explicit here, basically,
Mhm.
based on, Dave Rope's comments and the mission of this committee.
So who do you want? Do you want a couple of us to look into it together?
Yeah.
And present it at our next meeting, or
I think, well, I think,
or maybe just through email, we can.
we can do this through email. So, yeah, who wants to dig into that? Anybody want to look at it?
I'll
I'm
look at it.
raising my hand only because I'm leaving town in 5 days.
I'll look at it.
Pat, well,
Pat, you wanna do it by yourself?
Really?
awesome.
What I think is, from reading it previously, is this is much more clear. There was ambiguity in the other one, you couldn't, it was hard to pinpoint some of these issues.
So, yeah, so let's look into that, and that would be great if you take a look at it. So, change number 9, stumps from removed trees may be ground down to ground level, but not below. Hans, is that in the ordinance, or that's your practice, right?
No, it's in the ordinance.
What is in the ordinance?
The problem.
So this is gonna be under,
How do you think we should eliminate this? Because it's already in the ordinance.
Right.
It says, stumps from the storm damaged trees may not be removed. I don't think it says they can be ground down. That's, probably what,
Where is that?
So,
that's hazard trees P.
yeah, and
E1. A,
See, an O gets into the 100 feet.
Paul, I found out where it talks about the buffer.
O2, except in areas described very
Oh,
long.
hold on. O2?
It's, yeah, it's the 100-foot setback. And it gets into A, B, and C where that's the located opening greater than 250 square feet. So it addresses the 100-foot buffer. But again, it's written in a way that you're not a lawyer, Paul.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with it.
And then again,
Elemental PQ.
so
The stumps may not be removed. I see this right
So
here.
yeah, I see hazard trees is P, and then you get down to 2A2. Stumps from the storm damage trees may not be removed.
So what do you have here?
So
It's already in here.
So, well, but this says that they can grind them down, which is not, it's not mentioned in the.
They say they may not be removed. They don't say anything about grinding them down.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like when someone cuts a tree, they can cut it 3 foot tall or then cut it 3 inches from the ground.
Right.
So this is just saying the stump may not be removed. A stump, a vestige of it must be left.
Do you think we need to say that it can be ground down, but not below level? I mean, that makes it clearer that you can do it. I don't know, I kind of like leaving it in. Does anybody have an objection to that?
I like
They
having,
can just say they don't want it. I mean, we should put things in as long as we feel they belong and let them say, sorry.
Yeah, the planning board will take it, cut it, and
Oh, yeah.
make the changes.
Right,
That's it.
they
You've
will.
got things you feel strongly about, put them in, then it'll go to them, they'll do their part.
Yeah, I think we should leave it,
Stick with what we have.
but we
Yeah,
should
but-
make reference
Doesn't hurt.
to where it is in the zoning and how it's different.
Yeah,
That's what we should be doing.
you mean in the comments, not in the.
Right, as a comment,
that's what the planning board's gonna be doing.
right.
1502.
Well, I mean, the one way to phrase that, so rather than talking about grinding it down, is you could just say that the entire stump below ground level must remain.
You could.
Yeah, that's good. I think it says that though. That's what I think it says somewhere in here.
Well,
Because that's the part that counts, that's gonna be what.
Exactly,
Maybe
yeah.
ground down to
So
ground
that
level.
would give you the option, you don't have to grind it, you could do it with the chainsaw, you could
Right.
go right to ground level with the chainsaw if you had a mind to.
Where's the provision on stumps? Hans?
I see it on the old page 50, which I don't think I think you have a different thing. It's P. So I guess this is, it's all 15? 15?
Yeah.
Or it's either 14 or 15, but it's P hazard trees.
Yeah,
And then storm damage trees, and then A, and then below that is I and double I. So
Right.
double I, stumps from the storm damage trees may not be removed. Do you see that?
yeah,
Yes,
Page 50 on that.
So it doesn't say anything about cutting them down to ground level.
it doesn't say you can't.
No, just as they may
Doesn't
not
say
be
you
removed.
can't, so it's ambiguous.
I don't think it's ambiguous. And what's the issue that we're worried about here? It's so important.
we don't want anybody removing the,
We don't want anybody.
Right.
Stumps.
So they can't. It's right here.
It says may not be removed.
So let's leave it, let's not,
What about other trees that pull of it? But
outside the shoreline buffer.
no, the trees
They're
that
not storm
are,
damaged?
trees that are removed, they're not storm damaged,
they're just dead
or trees that,
or hazard.
Yeah.
Trees that, whatever tree, there's a tree permit provided for, allowed, the stump should not be removed. I mean, I know that next door to my house today, an arborist is working, taking down mature trees because they're in danger to tear the house that has already been. A tree fell in this house, totaled it. And now more trees are being taken down to prevent it happening in the future.
Yeah.
So those trees, the stump should remain.
Mhm.
So to
I think
conclude
that's
it to only storm damaged trees is not enough. It should be, all stumps should not be removed.
Well, this is hazard
It
trees.
says that even for hazard trees, stumps may not be
Well,
removed.
some people overreact. One tree
P
falls
A.
down and then they think they're all gonna
This is
fall
only
down.
under the provision of storm damaged trees, so we need to put it a more inclusive. Definite, we need to
Oh, I see. what
not
you're
just
saying.
have it in this section, it's got to be a general rule, the stumps remain. That's what we want,
Whether they're storm damage or
So
not.
I-
whatever reason.
Yeah,
So in other words, leave this here, but put a note in that says, in the zoning ordinance, it refers to storm damaged trees. It needs to be referred
It needs to
across the
expand.
board.
It needs to be
to be all
expanded,
trees
right?
Right,
within 100 feet.
because right near us, they tried after that storm, they dug up a stump. Didn't
Thanks, Bert.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, but nobody took any stumps out. They couldn't. It's so
Oh, they
big.
tried.
Yeah.
Okay, so we saying that you can, stumps may be removed. Stumps from removed trees may be cut down to ground level, but not below.
Yeah, just like we said.
No matter where they are.
Yeah,
Is this anywhere within the shoreline zone or just within 100 feet?
I think it's just 100 feet.
Oh, well, you need to be clear, well, so our change number 9 does not specify
Well,
that.
This is shoreline zone, so it's
250.
all.
250?
It's all 250 feet, okay.
Okay,
That's good.
yeah, I think that's good.
Unless it says within 100 feet,
Okay,
right.
within
Mhm.
the exemption.
Okay,
Right. Okay. Okay,
next,
next is change number 10, prohibit the use of all fertilizer containing phosphorus within the
Oh,
shoreline.
that might need clarity because people prepare house sites and everything stuff.
I know, yeah,
So there is some,
yeah, if they're building a shed with a foundation or something, then.
But that went through, because when we bought our property and had sent our papers and everything to the planning board, there were some trees that needed to be removed.
Right.
For a variety of reasons. And so the planning board took a look at that. They actually came out, looked at our site and said, okay, yeah, we agree that these 3 trees need to come down and you need to plant 3 more somewhere else, which we did. So I think that part is covered under the regular permitting process. Trees to be removed when you're doing new construction. I think.
So every time they want to take down a tree, all they have to do is say they're gonna put a shed in? So
Well,
then they will have,
Well, you can't, but you can't, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do that within 100 feet, so we know that. So you need a permit to cut a tree according to our
recommendations.
into our chain, and, so. Well, Hans, if it's, I mean, you've got a house, they wanna put in a house that's beyond the 100-foot, but still within the 250. What are the restrictions on that currently?
once they're past 100 feet, they can build a house as big as they want. They're not allowed to clear more than 40% of the total shoreline zone area.
shoreline zone being 250.
250. So,
30% is a lot.
so, but this, this says hazard trees, you can't remove a stump. But then there's a loophole that if you're building a house, you can
Remove that stump.
remove the stump.
but that's under the permitting process, that's fine. I don't think we have to,
Yeah, I
Do
think
anything.
it's covered by the permitting process.
yeah,
No, that
that's
we need
Kimberly's
to
point.
clarify it any further.
So where does that leave us? Are we back to, change number 9, or are we removing? I'm confused. Are we deleting change number 9? Or are we
No.
keeping it
No,
in?
leave,
We're keeping it in.
leave 9, but make reference to the fact that it right now only relates to storm damaged trees, and we want it to be
We're
expanded to include all trees in the zone within the ordinance, within the zone land.
You're expanding this provision of 2A.
In the shoreline zone, we just
double I.
need to add in the shoreline zone, right?
Yeah, just what Paul said.
Right now, it's limited to storm damaged trees. We want to expand that to all trees, basically except those that are going to be removed for construction. That's provided by the planning board or the permitting authority.
I think we're good.
I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any concerns that I'm missing? Okay.
And
Your favorite.
okay. Is this somewhere in there or not?
But
Fertilizers?
Fertilizers,
no,
No.
okay.
And we decided that, based on some testimony that, nitrogen and potassium was fine, but,
Phosphorus is out.
but phosphorus is out.
Okay, great,
Any comments on that?
that's
And
good.
it would be liquid form, so it wouldn't wouldn't wash into the lake. Okay, change 11. PDR permits. Would also, apply for and receive a town of Belgrade permit before undertaking the project.
it's applicable.
What's that?
It may not be a permit required, but it's gotta be.
And this was, Hans had suggested this. So
I know, I understand.
I think it's pretty self-evident.
What you say is fine, must review the permit application, permits, but, right. But there may not be a permit required, it may be just a PBR.
Well, that's permit by
Section
rule.
14, at the end of the table, there says notes to table.
Section 14.
We have a section 14.
Hold on.
Yeah, there's a,
Private 415,
so at the end of the table.
like 26, maybe.
Maybe I
Oh, on the original document?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. It has the table of different.
Yeah.
There's PV, CEO, that's no,
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Then it has notes.
yes, right below there.
What you know,
Well, there it is, the last note. Okay, no, not that one. I talked about things. Oh,
Are you suggesting that that's where we would locate it?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Or make a line 34 and just say CEO. Review. I don't know.
yeah,
I think,
Because the note is not really enforceable, is it?
no, no, it isn't, we should have it part of the ordinance.
Yeah.
We should remove this note and make it a part of the ordinance, I think.
So,
so every PBR, we have to receive, CEO has to find out or be notified about. And then the applicant has to, after getting the PBR, put in a permit, a building permit or whatever permit to the town of Belgrade. Is that what we're trying to insist on?
code enforcement review.
So code enforcement review
Or
or
the
town of
planning
Belgrade
board.
permit. Those are two different things, right?
Well, if the code enforcement reviews it and decides if it does need a permit or not.
Right.
You know, because a lot of people will say, well, I got a permit from the state. And it needs to come to me to see if it needs permit from the town.
Yeah, like those people that came that one time.
So require notice to you. Okay,
And I know we talked about this before. Does the state normally let you know when they issued PBRs to town residents?
Certain agencies, when they do a PBR, there's like, I don't know, 9 different categories they can choose from. And 3 or 4 of those offices will let me know, but the other ones don't. I don't have much contact with them, and they don't
So,
do it.
and I mean, right, and individuals applying for the PBRs would not necessarily be aware of this. So how do we, if in fact this is adopted, how would we enforce it or, you know, get people to abide by it?
that's education, that's what we talked about.
Yeah,
the neighbors.
vegetation requirements here. How do you get people to follow them?
Right, it's,
Oh, the neighbors.
you just gotta make it the law, which is what we're doing. You got-
Right.
An owner's required to do this. It's a violation of the owner doesn't.
So, we leave it as it stands. That
Think so.
sound okay?
Yeah,
Change 12, all permits issued by the town for properties within the shoreline zone require town notification of immediate abutting landowners.
Just to go, before we leave I think there should be reference to the table. The notes in the table, note 1, that, so the planning board knows that
In the comments, you
we're
mean?
gonna supersede that with an ordinance, yeah.
I thought.
So how do,
In the comments, we just.
how do I do that?
Here's the note right here.
comments.
There's the note in the, have you seen that?
Well, I have a different format than you
Yeah,
do,
me too.
but I'm looking at the notes right now, and there are notes to table 1. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the bottom thing that says no.
But is that where we want to put the
No,
No, we want to eliminate that because it's not.
we want to say that right now it's in the notes and it needs to be in the ordinance proper.
Right.
So you think it's in the notes?
A note is advisory, it's not an ordinance.
Can I just leave this as, or you can draft the language and shoot it to me? Paul?
Okay, sure.
Okay. 'Cause that, I don't know. I'm gonna deal with it.
Okay.
So, change number 12. Notifying immediate abutting landowners. Paul, you had said something about 500 feet or something like that. I didn't want to get into feet with this. I think this is important as far as, enabling the neighbors to police their neighborhood. Which, you know, otherwise, it's just not gonna happen. So if somebody says your neighbor's got a shed, a permit to build a shed, and you see them building a garage, you know, then you call up the town, you call up Hans. I mean, you get those already, right?
Well, you say shed,
Mhm.
somebody else calls it a studio.
Right.
It's a
Right.
shed in the winter when it's storing all the yard goods, but in the summertime, it's a playroom or.
But if it's a permit for a 20 by 30 structure, and
Okay,
they start building something bigger,
well, if they
Or
build
even
something
changing
bigger,
the
that's
use.
outside the scope of the permit, but I mean. Get a 20 by 30 and then you show up today, I'm sorry. But if you go out and see there's a bed and a refrigerator and a rug and a dresser. It's obviously not being used as a shed,
Right.
even when their condition of approval said. Not to
Shed.
be used or converted to a dwelling unit.
Sounds like a case.
Sounds like something I just went through an hour ago.
Oh, this was Jones and no,
Different one?
That's a bigger problem.
that's a bigger one. Oh, okay.
The state's excited that the court law upheld the ordinance the way it was written,
Oh, okay.
but anyway, it's complicated, but
But I think it's still important that the abutters receive notice.
Yes, that, it sounds like it is.
And
I
the other
agree.
thing I thought of is that sometimes, and I'm not quite sure the terminology, on the website or on the front door or something, or posted in the post office, there's like a town notice that Belgrade puts out there. Would that be something we would want posted something on the website? You could look through them or something? I don't know if
I
it's too
don't know enough
complicated.
about what that is.
Okay. Do you know what I'm talking about, Hans?
Yeah,
yeah,
you see these
that's a
notes
notice
here
of
and there.
hearing.
Right.
And, you know, the town's already putting on Zoom every planning board meeting. You know, and if you want every building permit to be accessible to the town, I mean. You're talking, someone's gotta maintain that.
I mean, this is not without a burden, but
It's a start, I guess.
it would be if you notify the people that live next door, then you've got some more eyes on the situation.
Yep.
So, and they're informed at that point, so.
So it's just strictly a notice
Yeah.
to the abutters, not notice for opinion or a hearing or anything like that.
Yeah.
No,
No,
it's just,
just,
it's just a,
Hey,
Notice to abutters, usually you're inviting comment.
You know, you should tell them when the hearing is.
well, I mean, I got notice of a variance in my property in Florida, and it was, happened to be 2 blocks away, and it was a variance. So, it wasn't inviting me to a meeting or a hearing for that or whatever, it was just a, so I don't think this is atypical.
Well, I have two comments.
Yeah.
One comment and a question. Comment is the word immediate is redundant because abutting means immediate. And the question is, what is in notification? Is the notification merely that your neighbor has, your abutter has gotten a building permit in which is not very useful, or is it the actual permit that spells out specifically that it's supposed to be a shed that's 20 by 30?
So a copy of the building permit.
Well, that's not mentioned here.
No, it isn't, but should we add that?
Well, maybe, that's right, yeah, I think it's right, that's what I'm suggesting there, needs to be a little more specific.
Yes, no, I agree.
I have two problems with this.
Okay,
One's a minor problem, which is a budding landowner does not describe land across the street, across the road. That's not a budding.
right.
You've got to expand the definition. Secondly, it seems to be useless to give notice after the permit's issued. Notice has to be given before the permit's issued.
I mean,
well, it's not,
okay,
it's not useless. I mean, because once
It's not
it's
useless.
been issued, and then the issue, what we're trying to be able to do is to follow up and see if our neighbor is building a shed or if they're putting in a, you know,
something
a
else.
bunkhouse with cooking facilities. And if that's the case, then we can call Hans and say, Hans, this shed is now a bunkhouse with cooking
So
facilities.
the point is not to make it into an adversarial
Right.
situation to prevent, in terms of their getting the building permit, it's just to make sure that the building permit is followed.
More eyes on stuff because Hans has new.
Okay.
And if somebody's building something next door and you haven't received a notification of it,
That's another
that,
reason to
you know,
call.
it's a red flag. You call up the town, say, I didn't get a notification, they, oh, we forgot to send it out, or there is no permit for that. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's helpful. I mean, we've had a neighbor doing shit at night, so
Right.
and on weekends. I mean, there was a classic example near us years ago where somebody poured a slab in the wetlands on a 4th of July holiday, you know, something like that. So there's,
Yeah, this is designed to have the neighborhood act as an enforcer.
yeah, or be
Yeah.
aware of what's going on. I mean, we can't expect our code enforcement officer to be everywhere all the time. And if there is absolutely no notification of neighbors, then you're gonna be sitting there saying, I don't know, they're doing something there. I assume it's okay, but I don't know. This way it enlists.
So that's why I think immediate it may describe it. The land that's across the road.
Well, I don't know if we can. If
That's why
there's a
usually-
road there, but
That's why usually there's a geographic description.
if the property is. We can beat this up, but if there's a road there, there's usually a property line and. And somebody either owns the road. Or they don't, so they would be in a butter if
If
they're.
you live across the street from somebody, you're not in a butter.
Well, I guess it
believe-
depends if you're
I
a private
disagree.
street or like on Route 27, you're not in a butter, but on Woodland Camp Road, you would be in a butter.
Yeah, I mean, on Chester
Yes.
Twing Road, we own, my wife and I own from the east side of the road in. And the people on the other side own the road, so I'm in a butter of those people, regardless of there being a road there or not.
But if it's a public road, the town owns the road. And if you live on.
Well, this is not a town road.
It's not on the town.
I understand, but I'm trying to say the situation with, if you have property.
How many town roads are in the shoreline zone, man,
I don't know that.
let's not.
Almost none,
No,
really,
I
and
mean,
you're talking about, that's a whole different circumstance.
So,
13,
yeah, I'm just making a note. Yeah, move on. Why don't you introduce us to 13?
13.
Wait a second, but Bill, you still need to include that the permits, that notification will include contents of the permit.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm writing.
Okay, very good, thank you.
All right, like Chris makes that note, change number 13. Are we good with this? Do we want to review it again?
I think it's good,
I think it's pretty straightforward.
yeah.
Anyone have any questions or confusion or comments?
Well, I was the one who more or less put this forth. I'm not entirely clear on what the last word means in that stricter, whichever is stricter.
I know.
That's a bit of a vague term.
How about more stringent?
Well, no, well, yes, but, okay, I mean, that you feel comfortable that you could distinguish one being more stringent than the other,
You can say stringent or inclusive.
inclusive, or whatever, Is that fair?
More stringent is what the chapter 11 chapter 1000 instructions say.
Okay,
Municipality
Is more stringent instead of
this
stricter.
or more stringent.
okay, then
Use
that sounds good, then. I'm good with that.
So, well, we are saying the standards set forth in Maine DEP's gravel road maintenance manual, or section 15G of the Belgrade Shoreline zoning ordinance, whichever is more stringent.
More strict.
Stringent.
No, I'd suggest
I'd just
changing that to
stringent.
stringent.
So, I guess my question is. Are these overlapping? I mean, are these 15G and the DEP gravel road maintenance manual? Do we need to mention both of them? I mean, I don't know at all about what's in these things.
We're referring to two different documents.
Yeah, I know. We're just gonna let the planning board work that out. I don't know. Do we,
Probably the town would go with section 15G, because that's what's in the ordinance.
Wendy, did you look at those?
I did at the time, they were not, the shoreline, they were not identical, and no great surprise, the gravel road maintenance manual has much more detail. So.
So this is okay as it is?
I thought so, but
Okay.
I can't say what the planning board is gonna do with that. They may not like using the EP's manual.
Okay. Okay, so I need more comments on page 13. So we need to talk about ordering the order of the, so also, so Lenny had suggested that we put the recommendations, the changes up front and put the other information in the back and change the, sort of take the partnering with the planning board and turn that into the introduction. And your logic was to put forward the most important parts of this document rather than having the planning board, in your words, wade through the other stuff to get to the meat.
That's a good idea.
I think that's a good suggestion.
Do they like that suggestion?
We can have a lot of discussion on it.
So I think that guarantees, I think the only issue with that in my mind is that guarantees that they won't read any of this stuff. They'll go right to the changes. They will never see who we talk to. They're not gonna, I mean, if they won't read through this, or at least skim through who's on the committee, who we talked to, and just a summary of what they did, what resources, publications we consulted. If they won't even, if that bogs them down and they just, you know, then I don't see they're gonna ever look at it if it's in the back. And
Wait, so you're saying put the comments in the back? Is that what you're referring to?
no,
Keep it
what
the same order.
Lenny is saying is lead with the changes. And then put in the back the introduction of the tax value of the lakes and the toxic algae blooms on one, you know, on Salmon Lake and the mission of the committee, and then the composition of the committee, and then the presentations that we got, that would all be at the end, and the publications that we consulted. So I think that would guarantee that they don't, I mean, if they can't skim through that up front, I would expect they won't look at it if it's in the back.
I have one suggestion.
Yeah.
The committee received the following presentations. We put the date, the person, and their title. And maybe we should keep it at that. That would shorten the document. And I like the information that we have in there. But that would be a way to shorten the document, yet they would still see that, oh yeah, we've talked to these people. Versus they may not want to read the bio of these people or what their thoughts are. I don't know, it takes up some meat that I like, but maybe that would be a way
I think
to.
they should, I think they need to read the whole thing.
Yeah, I like Chris's suggestion. It's like, they're gonna read the changes, but let them have to wade through this to read the changes.
Exactly.
I'd like to see them read this thing. I
Yeah, we
mean,
put a lot of effort into this.
it's not gonna take them that long to do it.
If they
This
don't,
is all
they
important stuff.
inspire them.
Right.
Man, I really, if they just blow that off, I think that they're not going to be.
They're not
doing their
serious.
job.
Yeah, this, I think, I agree, this gives a little more gravitas to it.
Yeah,
We've studied this, these are people.
we didn't take it lightly.
The publications.
Yeah.
Can I ask, how as a practical matter is this gonna be presented to the planning board? Maybe you don't know the times. I mean, are we gonna, they're gonna vote on each matter separately, I imagine.
Except for the chair.
How do they normally do things?
I would see that we would present this to, we would send them this document and then,
Has to be on their
and then
agenda.
get on their agenda and then start having a meeting or multiple meetings to talk about this. And what I would hope at that time is that they would go through this document and talk to us about it. And that would give us a chance to say, well, you know, Dave Roth, the soil scientist, felt that was important. That's why it's in here. We would have some dialogue. I would hope that Sarah as the chairperson, would read this document and help guide us.
I'm sure she will.
I would.
But I would think that we gotta go talk about the order of this. That would break it down into sections and try and have Sarah just deal with one section at a time. And maybe even once we have a session, we can sort of file a rebuttal if there's questions left open. We can answer it in another response.
I think we have to ask them.
What,
Well, they're gonna do, they're gonna do what they want. I just think, I'm hoping that we have a seat at the table.
Yeah, I
To
think
talk
we
through
should
this.
ask for that. By the way, people have asked me. If they should attend, like heads of lake associations. Seven Lakes people have asked me whether we should invite them to come to this as well, so that there are more people attending this thing.
I would,
That's actually a good idea.
I think
I
the
would
more
hope-
people that are at the
I would
planning board
hope that we
meeting.
could
would
get,
So we need to be active if that's what we're gonna do, to invite these
Yeah.
people to
Yeah, I
come.
think that's a
Absolutely.
good idea.
Once we get a date, we should see
Yeah.
who can attend.
Okay, if I could say a little bit, the reason I made the suggestion that I did was as a result of my observation of the way the planning board reacted to suggestions that were made at the meeting back, I don't know, 6 weeks ago or so, a month or 6 weeks ago, when a number of the members of this committee met with them to try to talk about the change of the requirement about the proposal for change the foundation and then putting a foundation close to the lake and so forth. They were very much, to use an old cliche, brass tacks. You folks tried to talk to them. Well, we've heard from this expert and that expert about this, that, and the other thing, and this is what they say, and they didn't want to hear about that. They said, this is why we do it, this is what we do, and this is how it has to be enforced, and this, that, and the other. And they were just like that way, and they were just saying, we don't care. And we were saying, well, we've had this many meetings and this, and they said, we don't care the flying patootie about that. We want to talk about the ordinance and exactly, and they were just very straight, straight and narrow on dealing with the ordinance and the issues in the ordinance. And my opinion is they're going to look at this and they're going to go, I mean, like the first paragraph, you're talking about how many lakes are at issue, are threatened and so forth. And they know all about this stuff. They're going to say, why are you wasting my time? And about algae blooms and that there are 6,000 lakes in Maine. They're going to say, why am I reading this? Pardon, not that I say that. But they're going to look at that and then they're just going to go, ooh, geez. And because, I mean, I think that their opinion of this committee based on that experience is that, the committee is just kind of a little bit in never land, and that they are the real world people. And so that's why I say, that's my suggestion is, give them just a very brief introduction, which is basically what is here under partnering with the planning board right near the end, or something maybe just a little bit more than that. Give them then the actual changes. And if you want to have this other stuff as with all of the backup material as kind of an appendix afterwards, this is what this is all based on. Great, but don't put this in front of them so that they have to wade through it first.
Yeah,
Because it'll just
right.
put them of a mind that, why are you making us waste our time doing this? We just give us the facts and we'll deal with it. That's just who they are, and that's how they operate.
Were you at that meeting?
I was on Zoom for the meeting, and then I was trying to speak, but there's whoever was running the Zoom would not.
Sure, he couldn't.
I was unable to, I was put on mute and I couldn't unmute myself. It was impossible. I tried numerous times to unmute myself and it just
I wasn't
wouldn't
there, I
happen.
watched the replay.
I agree with Chris. I think we should go along with it.
Well,
Because when
I agree with that.
you characterize the planning board on that particular issue, they had many hearings on that.
well, it
They've
could be.
beaten that to a dead horse.
Well, it could be.
And they had, I believe, more than one meeting talking about that.
No, they mentioned that
About the
night
foundation.
that we
Yeah,
were
and it was
gonna,
a divided
if
vote.
this was more.
The divided
So
vote,
the split vote that if one person had not been there, it would have definitely gone the other way.
Right. It was 3-2, and it was a very divisive issue before the board, so it's not, this is not the same
But we
thing.
almost persuaded them at one point. We had them convinced that they needed to listen to us and they needed to get more scientific evidence. They did at that meeting. That's what, and they were going to have, what did they call it?
I didn't get that impression.
Clinic. They were gonna have a clinic.
Well, that's what,
They
the
probably said they
chairwoman
were.
was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
voted
wanted
it.
to,
They voted.
but
But then-
Craig wouldn't hear
Right.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
And they basically said, if you're gonna bring more
So
of
there
this
was
stuff.
enough time
that's
to
not
do it,
interesting.
and
Right,
Craig wasn't
which
interested.
is that attitude that Lenny is talking about.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to start with partnering with the planning board, because you got their attention and should be definitely addressed to them, so it should start with that.
Good.
But I also think that
I think-
maybe we should reread this so that it doesn't, I mean, it's true, they have a different mindset.
They
and we
do.
need to
I think
address
you're
that
right, Lenny.
mindset. I mean, you've done a great job,
That's-
everyone, on honing this down, getting rid of my picture, all that stuff. It's been really good, but now we need to do the same thing to the introduction
I think you're
and
right.
the other information.
I think Lenny's right.
No.
They're no nonsense. They don't want, they're not interested in these liberal.
Well, it's not so much as liberal versus conservative, it's just that they just, you know,
About the
they just know what they know, and they don't really care where we got what we got. That was my sense from watching that.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I overstated my case to make a point, and, you know, the material that's here is very good. If you all wanna go with that up front, I mean, that's fine with me. I'm just trying to make the other side of the
I think
case.
it's important that our approach be correct. And I think your observation is correct about that.
Yeah.
But we should definitely get their attention.
I mean, we can definitely keep it
I
all.
want to get
just-
their attention. One way is, a lot of these reports, you'll have what's called an executive summary, and they put that almost first. And you'll have a report that's 30 pages long, and there'll be 2 paragraphs, which basically tell you what we decided. And you can start with the changes right away on page 1,
Mhm.
and then all the backup is why we'd want that.
Yeah, like an
Right.
appendix.
Right. That's the bang bang.
Yeah. So we won't call that the introduction anymore.
No, this is what, they know what it's all about.
Yeah.
We also have to talk about the order.
Oh, right. Let's do
Let's just
that.
talk about
Right.
The order.
The order of the changes?
Yeah.
Yeah, which subject matter do we present for?
Okay, sure.
No, we already did that.
We don't have it.
The order is the order, right?
No, we can talk
No,
about,
I mean, Paul would like to lead with vegetative buffer.
Is that
I don't
something
know.
they've been recently working on? Is that correct?
they've been working on it, they just added this condition about the level. The divots and not spreading.
Maybe I should hand this off. I'm a little too close to it.
Why? Is it hard to just move these things around?
No, I mean, I disagree that it's too much to read. And that
Oh,
we should dumb it down. I just disagree.
No, we're not gonna
Needs to
dumb
be
it down, we're
dumbed
just gonna
down.
change the order.
let's not talk about changing the introduction just yet. Let's at least do the order because that's tangible. And then,
And we can get that done in 15 minutes.
sorry, I can't. Yeah, let's do it, please.
Okay, I mean, do you think,
£7.
you think that the order is important?
Yeah.
Of the order of the changes is important.
To me, if I sit back and put my feet up at the desk, the most important thing we can accomplish is the buffer zone.
Yeah,
So I think we should lead with that.
I agree.
So we'll make the buffer zone number
Plus,
one.
they were murmuring that very thing when we were there, that was something they would do.
That's
The
it.
foundation is really the buffer zone. It's all the same issue.
Yes.
Yeah, so number 6 becomes number 1.
And Hans thinks that too.
I think the way Paul thinks.
Not always.
No, I mean, you're right, they're halfway there, but also I know that they wanna do. You know, water wants to flow down the easiest channel.
Yeah.
So
Right.
You had it in the order of the ordinance, and they started it 15A and go through to 15R.
Oh,
Yeah,
They would appreciate that, then they're not going back and forth, because there's a couple of numbers that you will release as soon as you put the page.
that's a really good idea.
go for the ordinance.
Let's just do that. Forget this. Yes. Does it go through what does it do now? Got it.
Well, let's see.
Well, the problem is the ordinance goes like this.
Well, right now you're hopscotching all over it, so.
Yeah.
So go, that's a good idea. So,
Can we do that?
well, the first thing starts with, well, septic is it, stormwater runoff, septic. There's no vegetated buffer per se, I mean,
Yes, it's all over the place is the problem.
I still. say
That's
go
the
with
real
that.
problem.
Anyway,
And you're gonna have somebody at the planning board meeting to represent the message you're trying to convey. Chris,
Well, I think they're all gonna be there. Hopefully,
well, I would study the ordinance so that when you speak to it,
you can point to where it is.
Yeah.
you gotta know what it already says. What the changes can then apply.
All right, to try to match each of the changes up to the ordinance that it pertains to. And then
If you can do that, you're gonna
then order
be
them,
better than that.
and then order it. Put it in that order.
but some of these, they really know the ordinance, some of them, the members in particular.
Been there forever, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is that these things are all over the place. I mean, we could try to look through the ordinance and do an order and that would be great, but I don't think it's gonna be possible. Cause you just thought Duff is in 2 places.
Well, then you reference 2 places. so
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
mean,
so that's how
You
we'll
have
do.
to, you have to do it that way.
So do we all agree that starting with the buffer should be our number 1 change?
So 6 becomes
No, I
number
think
1.
Just by the ordinance.
I thought that what we do is we go back to each of the changes, reference the ordinance that it pertains to, that change would be found in. And then order it, and then change the order of the changes to match the order of the ordinance, the existing ordinance. That's what I think is on the table.
Okay.
I would love that to
So
happen.
how do you want to divide
I don't know
this up?
how you do it.
Well, we'd already divided it up and we didn't quite get there, so, I don't know.
Well, if you look at the table of contents, there's no way to do that here.
Pretty hard. I got it right
It's
here.
really hard. I mean, their topics are
We
non-conforming,
tried to do that with the buffer
conforming.
zone.
So pretty much you are starting with section I, stormwater runoff. J is septic, so
That's crazy.
So when you say section I, where can I find that? Huh?
There's septic.
it's section 15, so.
We're in section 15, yeah.
The stormwater runoff. We didn't really address that
Okay.
too much, so septic.
The stormwater runoff is really vegetated buffer, isn't it?
You could say that.
It could be, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and it talks
that's,
about the filling in of the swales and terraces, so.
yeah.
I is where you're gonna start. Page 40 of the old version. Followed by septic. And then you get into your vegetation removal. So you kind of right in the heart of where you want to be, because you're gonna skip over mineral exploration and agriculture and essential services.
Yeah. You got erosion and sediment control and.
and timber harvesting and land management. Yeah, we can do it.
All right.
And y'all are staying within probably less than half a dozen of these little paragraph sections and subsections.
Okay, so who's gonna work on that?
I'll work on it. And we're already working on it.
Rushing.
Well, you can go through it and
Yeah, he's retired. I'll let you all retire.
Is that possible, Paul?
What do you, what am I taking on? Whoa.
What are you taking on?
Putting it in order,
Section
taking the
15.
changes,
Matching
putting
the
it in
changes.
order along the lines of the,
Where all the
Section-
changes go into the. where
right,
they're
into
mentioned.
section 15, basically.
Yeah, I don't think that's that much. to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if you want, I'll help,
all right,
okay?
okay.
Assuming I'm not in Boston.
Great.
What time is
Yeah,
it?
no, we're almost done, but the next meeting is gonna be when?
Would it be valuable on this to, before we send it to the planning board, before our meeting, next meeting,
Our guy who's.
we can get it to
Two
House
and a
to
half
kind
months, that's
of
forever.
check it, hey, this is the right order, this is gonna work,
Sounds great.
move it here to there. Would you be willing to look at that, huh?
From North
Yeah, I
Carolina.
can review it.
Just review, not do the work.
You review what we do.
See if it makes sense, if you two deal with them.
Yeah, make sure we've done the math correctly.
Yeah, I can help you with it.
Okay, that would be great.
Very nice,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Great.
Baby picture.
Just one or two now?
There was one other
Have
matter
one.
that I was asked to look into. with the work with
Almost
Hans on.
3 months old in 2 days.
What's that?
Was on the septic and the inspections. And I tried to change this, anyway, I wrote you an email,
I saw it.
and my suggestion before, and when I put an email to Hans.
Oh,
was-
you have a 5-year-old grandchild also. Is that-
Excuse me, guys?
You guys?
Lenny?
Oh, sorry.
My suggestion was that
Sorry.
in the septic on J, that the requirement be that the inspector has a requirement to file a report with the CEO, and if there's any malfunctioning, to file that report with the CEO.
I think we talked about not doing that because the inspectors want to have clients, paying happy clients, and if they start narking on everybody to the CEO, that's probably not gonna be for good business for them.
I agree with tough. It's my opinion. I mean,
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, but I don't know that
that is the issue, the contrary argument, but otherwise we have this non-compliance. When the reports are done and they're out there in Never Land and
Nobody knows.
there's no obligation.
Yeah.
And as
I think,
Also, if the-
Hans said, it was on the honor system.
what if we put it in and they knock it out? If we don't put it in, it doesn't get in there.
What do you think of this, Hans, as an idea?
Gonna have some teeth in this.
Right now, it just says malfunction reports should be reported. I think all reports. They got malfunction.
Ta-da.
And if
And the
it's part-
inspection report. All
Well,
reports.
it's yeah, an inspection, but right now it's. The malfunction should be reported. If this inspection finds that the system is malfunction, the town of Belgrade shall be notified within 30 days. So I think you just take out the malfunctioning clause and say. Town of Belgrade should have a copy on file. For all inspections.
And that allows you to take whatever action you need to take.
Then I get to read it and see, I mean, I called a lady this morning, she was furious. I'm harassing elderly people,
You called her about what?
her old trench system that. Backed up after 30 gallons of water was introduced to it.
Oh, God.
The inspection report said, in his opinion. It was not working properly, there was an opinion.
And why did they have to come out there? Are they selling it or what?
No,
Instant?
it was a deed transfer because she's doing some estate planning. So now.
Yeah.
They're doing estate planning.
So you agree that the inspector should file a report?
I think the inspection report should come to the office and be on the file, malfunctioning or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
The
base.
way I addressed it, whether it was, I told her this was triggered by a state rule. I'm not picking on anybody specifically other than people in shoreline zoning that are required to have an inspection report done.
So in your instance this morning, if this ordinance that we were suggesting was on the books, it would have been helpful.
Alright.
Okay.
Yay. It goes in, right?
Sure.
So this is change number 4, require all septic inspection reports to be filed with the town.
All, yeah.
Yes,
So,
No, it's required the inspector to file a report. That's what I'm saying.
so, so you're saying require all septic inspection reports to be filed with the town by the inspector? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but maybe
would it be the
town is
inspector?
not there. You're saying that. You're still having with the property owner. But I'm suggesting the inspector, so maybe I'm stepping ahead too fast.
Well, property owner, we can go after.
Yeah.
I agree, I don't want to go after some inspection company because. They
So
didn't know this little clause. in it.
Because they didn't file the report with you.
Mhm.
So it's the property owner who has to,
I mean,
Submit
word's
the
gonna get
inspection.
around, I talked to a couple of them, and they all talk amongst each other, they go to their own trainings, and it becomes. Topic of conversation.
Are you aware that other towns have this requirement? Is that common?
I don't read all of them, it's just, I don't know.
No.
So,
It takes a little bit of pressure off the inspector.
right, because the
But I've
property
got
owner.
good relations with a lot of these
Right, they'll,
people, and they're gonna talk about it, and they're gonna bring it up at training, because they're always, at trainings. Everybody wants to have something new to say.
because if the owners have to do it, it's on them rather than
Yeah,
inspector.
they're just gonna play ignorant.
Okay, that's a good point. So we'll require all reports to be filed.
By the property owner.
Yeah,
so we've got that as change number 4. You want to add to this sentence, require all septic inspection reports to be filed with the town? Do we want to add to that, or do we want the planning board to add to that, or what,
The planning board isn't gonna add to it.
we're suggesting that as a change.
I think we should suggest that the property owner submit.
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying, so you're saying add to it, add to this sentence, filed, with the town by the property owner?
Right.
I just wondered.
Hey, I guess you can just take out malfunctioning and so that all reports.
It's not, it doesn't say.
It's not in there.
Yeah.
That's all.
It says
Change
that in
number,
the short.
our change number 4, it doesn't have malfunctioning, it require all.
We can
septic
say
inspection.
that the statute be changed that way and then.
Well, yeah, well, that's why it's a change.
Right.
Okay. Okay, anything
We done.
else? As we run out of time here.
1 minute left.
So who wants to rewrite this document to make it more palatable? Lenny, you wanna do it? Give it over to Lenny? Rewrite it. You have a vision for it, so you do it.
What is it? Well, give me a charge. When you say rewrite it, how do you want it rewritten?
So that it
Based on your
passes,
suggestion about how to present it.
so it
Well, I mean,
passes.
my suggestion was to use the short piece towards the end here as the intro, but you don't want that, I gather, but.
But I
Partnering
think
with the
that,
planning board is the intro and then just with all the changes, but. And then, I mean, I can. Is that what you want, or do you, what kind of rewrite do you want? I don't.
what does the committee want? So Tanya wants to hack it like, according to,
I think Lenny's right.
hack is not the right.
Okay, I think Lenny's right. I think,
Maybe we should take a vote.
okay,
Or what, okay, but, so are there only 2 choices at this point?
yeah.
Well, nothing about necessarily, there are other ways to do this, you could include the committee list. I was thinking about this, I mean, you could have the committee list sort of right in the very beginning, that would not be unusual. and then have that short introduction and then go right into it and then have the other material afterwards. But, you know,
So it seems that we have one way you've done it, and you have another way. Why don't you assemble it the way you want to do it, and we vote on it next time?
well, that's fine. I mean, I could put a little bit of introductory material with partnering with the planning board, you know, just a very short paragraph. But if that's what you want, you know,
I would just give it a rewrite as to what your vision is, and then we can all look at it and say, and then we can make a vote. Do we like option A or option B? Does that seem reasonable? Matt, you're the chair. I should probably be making those rule level.
Well, I think it's good to have a discussion, you know, all the way around.
Yeah, I think Lenny is right though, that I think we make it. This is why we're doing this, this is, you know, but make it simple and then have a lot of this at the end. But then we'll pass, but that's motivating them.
But Lenny's also coming up with some,
12 o'clock.
some sort of mesh of that also when he's rethinking it, and that sounds good to me.
okay, yeah, all right, I'll do what I can. Now, in terms of the, I'm not gonna change the changes, then,
Somebody else is doing it.
yeah, okay, I'll just leave the changes. I mean, I haven't really made any comments, I just have the changes as they were. So, okay, I'll see what I can do.
I think it's more like the formatting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Yay.
Second.